This video is all about intuitive eating. I'll tell you what intuitive eating is, how to do it in a way that sets you up for weight loss if your body is in a place where it actually needs to release weight, and also what to avoid, a little warning or disclaimer about intuitive eating so you don't do what a lot of people do when they try it, which is lose control with their food. Intuitive eating really relies on the idea that you are rejecting the diet rules, rejecting diet culture, rejecting the food judgment and shame, and moving from plotting and planning and figuring everything out in your head, but dropping down into your body's internal wisdom. And this is the same innate wisdom that told you how much to eat when you were a baby. It's the wisdom that we used to not question, but over time through conditioning and fears and diets and so forth, we disconnect from that internal wisdom. So intuitive eating is about reconnecting to that, listening to your body's cues, and really honoring those cues that arise. All in all, intuitive eating has really, really beautiful principles. And here at Beating Binge Eating, we pull from some of those principles with our programs and our teaching. But it's very important to keep in mind that intuitive eating is just a tool. It should not be your end-all, be-all way for navigating your relationship with your body and food. In reality, there's some deeper things going on besides just choosing what to eat and listening to your body. And it's very, very important if you are really focused on breaking free from something like binge eating, emotional eating, overeating, that kind of thing, you might need to go a bit deeper. Another thing I see is a lot of women, when they try intuitive eating, and then they lose control with food. So they think that because they're stopped dieting that they can eat anything in large quantities and keep going and going and going. And I see this become a problem because it scares people, and then when they start gaining weight, they go back to their old way of doing things. So it's very, very important, if you are going to practice the principles that I'm about to share with you, that you do it in a way that really quiets your brain's survival mechanisms, so you really can listen to your body and partner with it and don't have this kind of like out of control thing that happens. And with our women, we really help them break the pattern of that out of control behavior. And that's a very, very important part to the process. So I'm letting you know, don't get discouraged if that happens. And you might just need to take another step or two. But all in all, this practice and art of listening to your body is very, very profound and beneficial for healing your relationship with food and just making your life so much easier without all these food rules and restrictions. And last but not least, as far as the warnings go, I do see a lot of women use intuitive eating as just another diet. So they reject the diet mentality and then get stuck on this strict set of rules with only eating when they're hungry and stopping when they're full. And if they eat past the point of fullness, they feel bad, they feel guilty, whatever that might be. So that guilt and shame that comes from that is no different than the guilt and shame that comes from normal dieting, and it will set you up to overeat more. So we want to keep the guilt and shame at bay, and remember that the principles you learn with intuitive eating aren't end-all be-all rules. They're just to serve as a guide, and a normal eater who is in shape and happy sometimes overeats. And if there are times where you overeat, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It just means you're a normal person. So a big part of this process is kind of taking some of the pressure off yourself and really working on partnering with your body instead of working against it. And now for the 3 steps to intuitive eating. So overall, there are more steps, more parts than this, but I'm condensing them into 3 simple steps for you to adopt so you can implement these and get results today. Number 1 is rejecting the diet mentality and food rules. And before you do this, so just saying, dieting doesn't work, that typically doesn't work when you have these deeply entrenched fears about losing control with your food or weight gain when you give up dieting. So it's very, very important that you get the tangible information that you're going to be able to use, and know that dieting has a 95% failure rate. Dieting sets your brain up to think about food more. It changes the physiology of your body so your metabolism slows, which hurts your chances for weight loss. And it also decreases leptin, your satiety hormone, so this makes you be able to eat and eat without feeling full. Dieting actually makes you gain more weight, eat more, and most people who do lose weight on a diet, if you study them long term, gain the weight back and almost always gain 10% more weight back than they started with. So we know diets do not work, and it's very important if you are going to practice intuitive eating, messaging about diets and changing your meal plan and all of these things are going to come at you all the time. Those aren't going away anywhere. At any moment, Sarah at the gym could have done this thing to get her abs, but what we don't know is what's going to happen to Sarah the next 5 years with her relationship with food, right? And if you're here, you want a balanced relationship with food where your weight loss, if there's weight to lose, actually lasts. And the only way to do that is by rejecting these old antiquated diet paradigms and repartnering back with yourself. That takes us to step number 2. Partnering with your body, nourishing and honoring it. So instead of coming from a place of what you can't have, you come from a place of what do I get to have? How do I nourish myself? How do I take care of myself? How do I work with my body instead of fighting it? Diet mentality is fight, force, restriction, control. Intuitive eating and partnership mentality is partnership, nourishment, honor. So constantly asking these questions. Questions are so powerful that drop you from your head and into your body. What do I need? What's going to feel good to me right now? What does my body need? What's going to honor me? These kind of questions will help you really return to you and connect with your body's signals. So after a little bit of this practice with the right steps that I've shared with you in the gift that I'll be giving you at the end of this video, but with the right steps, you get to this magical place where your survival mechanism's quiet. You're not thinking about food as much. You start getting pulled to foods that make you feel really healthy and alive. And that's when this last step comes in. And this is listening to your body's cues and choosing foods that leave you feeling really alive, energized, and your desired feelings that you want. So as far as the body's cues go, we have hunger fullness cues. And if we've been dieting for a while, sometimes they're a little blurry. So after a few weeks of this, when they start to come back on board, when you start to feel more in your power, then you really want to start listening to those cues. And you need to reject all the crazy rules that you've ever heard about waiting until you're starving, fighting through the hunger pangs, anything like that. No more of that. When you are hungry, eat. When you start feeling a little foggy, like you need some fuel, eat. There is no reason to push past the threshold of hunger, because what will happen is you'll end up eating more, losing control with your food, which leads to weight gain and all these things. So we want to bring present moment choices and eat when you start feeling those inklings of hunger. So what you want to do proactively is get to know your body's hunger cues. Maybe take a journal with you and jot down what hunger feels like to you. And I'm not talking about hunger pangs, starving, ravenous, hangry, looking for food. I'm talking about those little internal cues that happen. For me, it's a little brain fog. So if I'm going at work for 3 to 4 hours, I'll start to notice a little fuzziness, and that's when I know it's time to refuel my body. On the flip side of this, you do want to stop when you're full. And this is not stopping when you're lightly satisfied and could keep going and want more. This is stopping when you're full, satisfied, not full stuffed, but satisfied. That means grounded, very content, very happy with your meal choice, feeling very good in your body. And what you want to do is you want to check in while you're eating to really see, hey, where am I? Am I eating right now because it's all on my plate and it's autopilot and I want to finish it? Or am I eating because I'm hungry? And really bring presence, connection, and attention to your body's cues and how you're feeling. And under this point also is eating in ways that make you feel good. So there are going to be foods that you eat that might not make you feel the best, and that's okay. Life is about balance, and as you give yourself freedom and balance, you're going to feel more in your power accumulatively over time, which is going to equal weight loss if there's weight to lose, right? But in general, a majority of the time, I know that you want to feel great. I know that you want to feel alive and clear and have mental energy and feel satisfied. So choosing foods and listening to what your body needs based on your body's reactions. If you eat something at lunch and you're in a food coma at 1 p.m., that means that you might need to adjust that lunch a bit. If you eat something at lunch and you're starving an hour later, that means you might need to eat a little more adequately and take care of your body's needs. So a lot of intuitive eating is way different, goes way beyond just eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full. It's about rebuilding this connection and partnership with your body. And I know if you've been dieting for a really long time, this can be tough, this can be a little scary and be confusing. And that free gift I mentioned just a little bit ago is going to help you with that. So access the free training I made you that will support you in breaking free from your struggle with your body and food and really partnering with your body. It's at the link in the description below this video. And if you like this video, definitely click subscribe. We're releasing weekly videos every week, every Tuesday, really talking about breaking free from your food and body struggle and just living your best life. And please, please, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you.